We are back for another episode of the ABJ Podcast, episode 33, the last of the month of this very, very busy, hectic month. Adena Steele will be joining us here in a moment. I just want to get through some of the housekeeping. First off, check the links below for not just all things ABJ, whether it be merchandise or follow me on all social media, but also check out the links below for Adena as well as Philly Mike, two on the shelf wrestlers at the moment. We'll talk more about that during the interview. But there are links below so you can support them, whether it be subscription services, merchandise, or their social media as well. We also have just acquired a brand new sponsor for the podcast, so super excited about that. It's a little next to my logo down here. It's that little EL. It's Elevation 1470. So elevate your style with Fracfill's brand Elevation 1470. Elevation 1470 is a reinventing style, bringing tradition and nostalgia apparel to the Frackville and surrounding areas in School County, Pennsylvania. They pride ourselves on hometown heritage and community. Elevation 1470 is where the trail begins. You can find them at www.elevation1470.com for the latest in traditional nostalgic style in Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania. So it is really, really cool. Everything's based in Frackville and the rail trail, like the trail there, as well as all surrounding areas. It's a cool clothing company that supports Schuylkill County, and really cool dude. I'll probably have him on the podcast very, very soon to talk more about it. But thank you so much for sponsoring. We finally got our first sponsor, 33 episodes in. That's really makes me really pumped. So that's super, super dope. Also, make sure you check out us this Sunday at Smashmaster 40th birthday bonanza in Throop, Pennsylvania. Lots of great matches. Once again, Adena Steele will be in attendance with Philly Mike doing a little meet and greet, as well as Grim from Grimm's Toy Show will also be there. And then in a couple weeks after that, you can come hang out with ABJ as I host the Spring Break 93 at High Tension Wrestling March 18th. Bell time 4 o'clock, doors at 3:30. So you can go to Icons in the morning to check out some great talent there. Get your autographs, all that. Leave there. It's a couple block walk. Come to this show, and we'll have you in and out before the next show in Philadelphia happens at the 2300 Arena. So you can check out 2 amazing wrestling shows in one day and get all your wrestling fixes and needs in all in one place. It's gonna be a busy day. Get ready for WrestleMania because that's what Mania is gonna be like. You're gonna be bouncing from indie show to indie show, and then walk into the WrestleMania show. It's gonna be busy, but you can get your practice in on the 18th. Without further ado, I felt like the Micro Machines guy there. I'm going to bring in my guest, Adena Steele. What's going on?
Hello. Not too much. Sitting on the couch. What's up with you?
I'm doing great. A little tired. Been working a lot today here. But we have so much to cover. It's been a long time. I mean, not really. We see each other almost every other weekend. But since I've done a previous podcast, I've had you on numerous times, and now you're back on. But it's a little different this time because you're a lot better than you were a couple months ago. You had a pretty rough injury.
Sure did.
Yeah. I didn't realize what bump you took during that match that hurt you, and then I actually seen it for the first time, like where someone pointed it out at your benefit show at the bar where we were all watching it.
And oh, great. Like, that's why we're here.
Yeah. And I mean, you were in the room when it happened, but also you were a little tipsy. You were having a good time.
Enjoying my night.
You were having a blast. You were slapping.
I got there really early. It was a long day.
I still don't think you were as in a good a mood as your mom. Your mom was killing it that night.
She has no competition. She was like playing the drums on the bar and just vibing. She said she wanted to go there and she was going to have a couple of drinks and she wanted to show my dad she still got it.
Yeah, she did.
So maybe she did. Maybe she did.
She killed the game. But we're all like, this is why we're here right now. And then you went up and then you came down to your shoulder and then you kept going throughout the match. And people were like, so you're still hurt here? And you're like, yep. And you're diving through the ropes and doing everything crazy. And I remember at the very end, you're just sitting there and we're just like, you good? And you're like, I think so. And Dr. Frank's like, it feels broke, which say what you will about Dr. Frank. That guy is a human x-ray machine because he picked it up pretty well.
Yeah, like immediately. I was in denial, I think. I kind of felt the thing poking through. So I was like, all right, that's not normal. But it's like, maybe we're good. Maybe it's swollen. I kind of knew what happened, but I didn't want to admit it. And he immediately was just like, oh, that's broken. I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah. When did the adrenaline wear off and you realized you were in some trouble? Like during the match or after?
I'd say I don't even know. Like probably not even until like I feel like it didn't set in right away. Like even beyond like the adrenaline, just like it was almost just like a shock, like going from just being a normal functioning human to being like, oh crap, this is changing so many things I never accounted for. So like probably like once I like that was a Sunday. So like when I left the hospital, then I had to meet the orthopedic the next day, and then like really hearing what the process was gonna be. I never actually like broke a bone before besides like my nose. So I never had to go through like this healing process. So once she really got into it and that I needed surgery, I was just like, oh, this is a lot more than I anticipated getting into here.
Yeah. During the match, did you realize it was as bad as it was, or didn't you realize until at the end?
It was like both. Because like when it first happened, I knew something happened because like I didn't know if it was a snap or a pop, but it was like that wasn't a normal feeling. And then I just kept doing the things I had to do. And then when I tagged out to Kit, I like, trying to cheer him on in the turnbuckle. And I like literally I could not lift my right arm. It was just hanging. And then I was like, this isn't good because I have a lot left to do in this match. And I don't know what would like I'd get back in the ring and it would work. Like I would just get in and I'd be able to do whatever I had to do, and then I'd get out and it'd be like hanging. So I don't know if that was a little adrenaline or just like, well, I don't know how it happened, but then after that I realized like, okay, this probably.
Yeah, I remember, and this is where a lot of people like a lot of fans maybe not realize, but like how important a good referee is. Because Matt was saying like, I guess you went in and tried some stuff and then came out, and then during like the one spot you're like, yo, I'm not good. Like my shoulder's a little messed up. And then he relayed that to everybody, and everyone's like, all right, time to adjust. You know what I mean? So like, that's one of the things about this sport and this entertainment that I love so much, and this just profession, and just how you guys are so in tune with each other, and you can do things on the fly. And it's such a testament to all of you to look out for each other, as well as like being able to adjust, but be able to communicate in there. But the fans have no idea.
Right. Even people like my parents didn't even know I was hurt. They went to the bar we're all going to after the show and were waiting for me to come. And they're like, "Where's Adena?" And they're like, "She's at the hospital." But no, Matt really did like I think he says like that was like the most solid bump I ever saw in my life. It's like the ring had no give. And like because like some people like literally like it's my parents, they watched the whole match, had no idea, and he like immediately was like, that wasn't good. And he's like, are you okay? And I'm just like, I don't effing know. And he thought I was like mad. But I was more just like, oh shit, like this isn't normal.
Yeah, that's nuts. So you went and you had surgery. It was broken in what, 2 places?
Yeah, it was like, instead of just being like, it was like kind of like separated, and then there was like a bone fragment in between, they said. So, because like most times, if you break your collarbone, you could just be in a sling and it like heals. But since it was so separated, that's why they had to fuse it back together. It would have just healed. I don't know how it would have healed. Been really messed up though.
The X-ray was gnarly. The one you showed us, it was like up. It was like a bike ramp.
I didn't even realize because they didn't even show me the X-ray when I went to the ER. So I was like being optimistic, like maybe I won't need surgery. And then when we went to the orthopedic, she showed me, and I was just like, yeah, I know where this is going.
Yeah, and you've been healing very nicely. So you have a metal plate, some screws, you got some new hardware. So now you are officially Adena Steele. You have steel in your body.
I might have cursed myself there. Did not mean to manifest the actual steel.
Listen, there's so much opportunity on commentary now for everybody.
I know.
When you shoulder attack people, when you give them stunners or cutters, it's like, they hit the steel beam.
I know, yeah, because I do that one, and it does land on that shoulder conveniently.
Everyone's got to sell it. They hit the steel. Exactly. Especially if you turn heel. Oh, my God. You have like a foreign object.
Yeah, better be bleeding.
Every time someone takes a cutter, they're just gouging themselves.
The match just ended. Like there's never a finish to any match I'm in. The ref just stops it.
Adena has the most devastating cutter stunner of all time because you're literally pulling their head down on a steel beam with screws, and they're bleeding all over the place. It'll be amazing. Pro wrestling. So how did this affect your day-to-day and like your shoe job and stuff?
Oh God, it affected everything, like literally everything. You know, I just went back to work a week ago today, actually, since
And
like
this happened in
December.
December for people on the timeline.
Yeah, December 11th, and now tomorrow's March, so it's been a while. So I do hair, so I need my arms, like I need to have my shoulder elevated. Like I said, I was in the sling for 7 weeks nonstop, so I literally couldn't do anything pretty much. Like, 'cause it's my dominant hand, like Kay would have to help me like get dressed. Like I could only wear shirts if they were like button up because I couldn't lift my arm at all. Like it was just hanging. So just doing any simple thing, like even washing my face, like I have to use my left hand, like the simplest things, putting on socks, like everything just took so long. And I feel like I'm just so used to being independent, like self-sufficient, and having to get help on almost everything was like, no one complained, but for me it was really like kind of depressing. Like I was appreciative, but it was like I just
Yeah.
felt very useless. Like I can't do anything for myself. Like and then I'm home with all this free time, so then I feel worse. I'm like I'm not getting anything accomplished.
Yeah, it's like the only thing I can do is just watch TV at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not a big TV person, but I started to be.
yeah.
Got into it.
So
And I read a lot of books.
this is, and that's important for people to hear because I think a lot of people don't realize what happens when an independent wrestler goes through an injury like this. And this is your first and hopefully last serious one, but you don't like people don't realize when you're going out for pure entertainment of the fans and the love for the industry, you get injured. And like I said, you've been out of work for months now. But the support seems like it's been amazing for you. Like people still supporting you and still booking you to go to shows and being involved in some way, form, or fashion. We did a
Yeah.
benefit show where we raised a great amount of money for you guys, which was awesome. By the way, I don't know if I've been trying to get a hold of them for their footage, but the greatest 50-50 commentary of all time. We commentated the 50-50. We were rotating people in and out of commentary, and then the very last match, I was like, Adena, come over here, and you're like, I've been a little tips. I'm like, even better. Come on over. So if anyone ever listened to that commentary, it's fantastic. But we commentated the 50-50, and boy, BP's like, that's probably the greatest moment of my commentary career.
I need to hear this.
Yes,
Just take it
I
all
only
in.
have the audio. I'm trying to put the audio to the video,
Yeah.
but who knows what's going on there.
Yeah. I
So
don't have
wait,
much of a filter normally, so
same. I don't even know how I'm on
at that
commentary.
point I was just like, whatever happens in my brain is coming out.
The best was you're like, can we curse? And you're like, can we? And you lay out a curse, and then you're like, oh, well, the Moondog's not gonna like that, or something like that.
Exactly. Like there's no stopping it once it's in my head. It's like normally like,
Yeah.
okay, that's a thought. No, it's everyone
And
knows.
then you trash talking the heel on commentary was amazing. That was really, really good.
I was enjoying myself.
It was a blast. It was one of my favorite commentary moments of all time. I hope people get to hear it at some point in time. But
Yes.
yeah. So what's your timetable now? Like you're out of the sling. You have pretty much full mobility in your arm. What are we looking at here?
Well, let's see. A week tomorrow, I'm allowed to start like strengthening at PT because now we've just been doing mobility, so we'll be able to add like light weights in and progressively move them up. But I already think I'm gonna go because I do it at the gym I normally go to, but I think I'm gonna go to the other gym I'm a member of and like secretly lift there. Not until I hurt myself, but so they don't know I'm doing more than they want me to do. I have it all planned out. So next week I'll be
Pro
allowed to do
wrestling.
that. And then I have in early April, I have my next meeting with my orthopedic, and she said that'll probably be our last meeting, and that'll be almost 4 months since the surgery. Like it'll be a little, like a week or two under, but at that point, I don't know. She said like I don't know if she'll just be like, okay. I'm assuming she'll give me like a letter, but I assume like by late April, early May, because I already have stuff booked for May, so I'm doing that. But that was like my April. I'll be iffy. I'm just gonna see more. Like I want to be back in the gym and feel strong again first, and like train a little bit. So I don't want to rush it and not be like physically prepared. Beyond. Everyone's like, oh, you don't want to hurt that, but I'm like, there's so many other things. Like I've lost 17 pounds like this whole time.
Wow.
I didn't know because like I never weigh myself except at the doctor. And then at the gym, I shouldn't have done it. I did it yesterday because this one person did. I'm like, screw it, I'm going to hop on. And I was like, shit. Like, I knew I like got like lost a lot of weight, but it's way more than I expected. So I definitely want to get, my strength back up and feel confident beyond me being safe that I could keep other people safe. And, I'm prepared for that. But I think by then, if I start lifting now, that'll be almost a month and a half, 2 months. And
yeah. Well, I mean, in this industry, it's very interesting, for me at least. And women, you have it way harder than most when it comes to the body aspect of this business. So we talked in the early stages when you were pre-Adena, when you were before the wrestling phase, and then you went into that huge bulking phase. Then you went from a bulking to almost like a tone, and now you're down because like you're not working out as much as you have, and now you're like losing the weight because your body naturally like it's just trying to go back to like your old frame. How is that like in all your transitions? Because at one point you were jacked, and then you really toned down. Like you went through a lot of different phases. Where do you most like in your progression of bodybuilding and stuff like that? Where do you feel most comfortable, or where do you like to sit the most?
Whatever I have at the moment, I want the opposite. So that's kind of why I go back and forth. Like once I get really lean, I'm happy because I'm like, oh, you could see my abs or this or that. But then I'm like, oh, I feel like. And then when I get big, I'm like, this is nice, but then I feel like a little squishy. So whatever one I have, I want the opposite. But I already decided when I come back, like I want to just get as strong and big as possible. Like I'm not going to worry about like being lean, or I just want to get as strong as I could for a little while. And then I'll probably after that.
Post-pandemic, Adena Steele was like She-Hulk. You were like the whole pandemic, man, squats and deadlifts and all that. You were giving Christina Marie a run for a month. Like, you both were coming out like jacked and solid. I was like, Adena is killing it right now.
It's like I all the time too. It's like, especially with that, you have more, you're not working, so you could really revolve your food and your workouts, like everything very specifically. That's not realistic for day-to-day life when you have a lot more in your schedule.
Yeah, I think just talent in general, and I'm not even breaking it down between men and women. Like you seem like you really have it under control of like understanding your body and where you need to go and hitting your goals of like your look in the ring. And I think that's really, really cool for you.
Yeah, I have a good time. Like I really got into the gym before I even started wrestling. A lot of people, it's the opposite. And I got my personal trainer certification even back during COVID because I was just like, I have nothing else to do, but I have no time to do it anyway. But it helps. Like I had a lot of understanding because like not growing up, but like early 20s and everything, a lot of my friends were into the gym or bodybuilders. So once I really wanted to start working out, they taught me a lot. So I feel like I had a lot of knowledge early on that, I wouldn't have if I just started going on my own. And I would research a lot online because I genuinely find it interesting. So when I'm interested in something, I'm like, I want to know everything. Every thought I have, like, I need to know this. So it really like helps me a lot, like having a structure and like mentally, it's just like my de-stress period, decompress. And it definitely, I think that's why it's noticeable that I do so much because it's like one of my main focuses. Usually it's just like, okay, my schedule and this and that, my eating, because I'm neurotic.
And on top of that, then you have to practice in ring, which is a whole nother animal. You know what I mean? Like it's so much to balance and juggle. I honestly don't know how all of you do it. Like some of you look at me and you're like, how do you run all these podcasts? I'm like, how do I run podcasts? I'm a fat shit. How are you guys going to the gym, working out so hard, and then going and landing on your back for 4 hours and not want to be in a wheelchair?
That's the one thing with being home like this. I'm like, wow, I didn't know what it was like for like things not to hurt all the time. Like obviously minus my injury, but it's always like a body part that's sore from going to the gym, or like stiff, or bruises from wrestling, and knots in my back. And I'm like, wow, like considering even that I'm injured, I'm like, this is what it's like. You're not hurting all the time.
Yeah. What advice would you give to talent of when it comes to that bulking phase and putting on the weight, but doing it properly and really transforming yourself?
I would say, for me, what works the best, and I've noticed for most people, is I switch up like my eating and workouts a lot, where, when I'm bulking, I definitely try to get a lot more carbs in. And, everybody's body type's different. Mine, like you said, naturally is like just wants to be nothing, like a rail. Like you see my dad, he's skin and bone.
Yeah.
That's how my body wants to be. So it's very hard to get muscle. So like for me, I eat, a lot of like maybe brown rice, sweet potatoes, and of course all the protein during the day. And whether I'm like cutting or bulking, I like to get at least like maybe like 100, 150 grams of protein in a day, like realistically. And my workouts, like if I was trying to get bigger, I definitely focus more on like the heavier lifts or heavier sets with like fewer reps, and then still in the end do some, lighter ones just to burn out. But I think George is a big list. They're buddies, they're best friends.
Oh, your dad's amazing.
But yeah, then I get the same thing. I get bored sometimes with my routine, so then I'm switching it up, and then everything switches. So definitely for bulking, and a lot of people too like think like, oh, I'm trying to gain weight, like, and just eat total crap, and like I've done that before. But I think like a healthy mix, because I used to restrict so much and only eat, like I'd plan everything out on my phone the day before and like wouldn't deviate whatsoever. Wow. Or I'd like lose sleep. Literally, I became like neurotic. And now it's like a little more like, okay, I'll eat what I'm supposed to eat, but if I want something that's not good, like I'll still eat it. Not for every meal, but and it takes away those cravings for
that's what I do. Like and
one cheat meal.
I've been cultivating mass. I don't know if you ever watch Always Sunny when Mac for one season got fat to be funny. That's me. I'm in my cultivating mass. I'm bulking up. Yeah.
It's
I'm gonna turn all this into it's been winter for me for about 8 years, Adena.
It gets cold here in the Northeast.
Yeah, it's always cold. I'm always in a hoodie, That's no. But speaking of your parents, they are the most entertaining people, I think. When it comes, like, it's funny because you and Kit probably have the most entertaining wrestling parents on the scene. I don't think there's a comparison between Kit's mom and your parents. Unbelievable, so entertaining. And it's not even like during shows. They are them all the time, and they're unapologetic, and I love it. But like, are your parents always that much into wrestling? Because they'll go to shows that you're not even booked on just to go see wrestling. Like, they're really, really into it, which is awesome.
Yeah, my dad especially. My mom, she never really watched it like before I started wrestling as much. Me and my dad did when I was growing up, and she would always, she wasn't a fan. She'd always be like, oh, you're watching them hookers again, walking around half naked, da da da, and I'd just be like,
yeah.
But then
now she really likes it.
Oh yeah, her views have changed. But yeah, they definitely, especially my dad, he gets so into it. Like, he's such like the stereotypical fan, but like that you'd want, because he does exactly what he's supposed to be doing. Or, what I mean?
He's yelling and screaming. He gets really, really upset. I love it.
Yeah, and there's like been times where things happen and he genuinely starts freaking out at my opponent because he thinks it's really happening. Like, I remember it was a true show, and it was me and I think that's what it was. It was like a big 5-way. It was like everyone was for some belt or something. And right in the beginning, they introduced everyone, and they're like, Adena, yeah. And then I think it was Sage Matthews just come up and like kicked me in the head, and like the referees had to take me out, take me to the back. And then of course, like, I came out at the end and surprised everyone because I came back. But my dad really thought like this dude just kicked me in the face, and they let them have the match, and he had no repercussions. And the kid came back. He's like, your dad's really mad at me. Like, he's like, he was flipping me off and saying like, F you, I'm going to F and kill you. And like, my dad does not say the F word. Like, he hates it. Like, my mom will say it just to piss him off. Like, they just, like, sorry in your language. And she's like, hey, and I'm like, they're whatever. But he hates that word. So the fact that he told me he was saying that, I'm like, okay, this guy's probably being dramatic, but no, my dad really thought like that happened. And he falls into that all the time in so many scenarios, but it makes it that much better.
Yeah. Who is his favorite that you remember growing up? Like, if he can meet a wrestler right now, who would his all-time favorite be?
Goldberg.
Really? Goldberg.
That's for my childhood. I just remember my dad being obsessed with Goldberg. Him and my mom, I don't know if I should say that. I'll say it, whatever. Him and my mom had these like weird matching pajamas. Like, they were just like boxers, but they both had the same one. And it was just like Goldberg's head on the front, and it said, who's next? And I always thought it was really weird. Weird placement. It just could have been a t-shirt. No.
We need to find those boxer shorts, and you and Kid
right? My dad probably still has them. He has shirts from his honeymoon, which is before I was even born. So
I love
those
that.
boxers have to be around.
Yeah, that's amazing. What did he think of Coach Berg at Smash Master?
Oh, he got a kick out of that, especially with, knowing Coach just from all the shows we've been going to over the years. I
Yeah.
was excited.
Oh,
I want to watch it back just to see if I could see him react when he came out.
so much fun. Well, speaking of the Smash Master shows and dressing up and cosplaying, you just posted a very, very entertaining video today of you getting ready for work. So go check out Adena on social media for this amazing stuff. But Kit is sound asleep, cozy up in a blanket, and you go to kiss him goodbye for work, wearing a Sting mask, and scare the shit out of him.
Sure did. I actually had that mask for the Smash show. Like, I was going to put it over my paint and then take it off, but then I never knew how to set my paint, so I couldn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was great because I always do stuff like that, but never get to record it. Like, and that was like the least of a reaction. But I was like, I haven't recorded this because the mask was right by my makeup thing. I just did my makeup, and I was like, so I always say like, bye, I'm going to work, and I was like hoping he'd open his eyes. So I was like, and usually he screams, but it still was great. It was great.
Yeah,
he had no idea.
That's what I was going to ask: is how often do you guys do that to each other and mess with each other?
I don't know why he's with me.
So you're usually getting him.
Like I torment him and he gets so mad. Well, not bad, but because when we first started dating, he told me I'll never get him. This is where it all started. He started this. He said I'd never get him. You can't scare him, any of that. And the first time that I realized I could get him was we went to some horror convention last summer or something. He wanted to get something signed. He likes Michael Myers. And we're driving back. It's dark. I'm in the passenger seat. I dropped my phone and it slid to the back. So I was like, hang on. I'm just, I crawl in the back seat to pick it up, whatever. And back there was Michael Myers mask. So I was like, let me see something. So I put it on and then I crawled back up to the passenger seat, but like kept my head towards the window. And then I went like this. And then when he looked, it's obviously there with the mask, he literally almost crashed. He's like, why the hell would you do that while I'm driving? And he said, I never get him. And he was like, holy shit, like almost drove off the road.
Now it's been super easy to get him. Yeah.
I didn't think he'd I thought I wouldn't even be able to get up without him even noticing I had the mask on. So
I love that. That's so. Please keep filming those because they're.
I gotta get more because like even the other day I've been playing the Harry Potter game a lot, so it usually happens spur of the moment because like I'll be somewhere and I hear him coming, and I just like crouch down somewhere, so it's like I don't always get a chance to record it. But he was coming upstairs, and like I was by the dresser, and I'm like, let me try this. So I crouched down, and my phone in my hand. And I popped up and I was like, Avada Kedavra! And he was like, ah! Like he screamed so loud, and all the hoodies are hanging on the back of the door, and he just like buried his head for like a while. I was like, hello? Are you okay? But
yeah,
like I need to get one where he screams
animals.
like that.
Do your animals ever stitch you out when you're hiding somewhere?
Sometimes, like if they're in there, like they might be like looking in that direction. So it depends. But like if he's waiting for it, he'll pick up on it. But if it's random, he doesn't notice as much.
So our dog literally has to be like near somebody at all point in times. And when my wife is home, it is like her guard dog. Like she literally fought like to the point where we have to like you're under our feet, you have to move type deal. So if I hide behind a corner, the dog usually comes up first, sees me, and just stares at me. I'm like, well, that's ruined. Can't scare her now because the dog snitched me out.
Yeah, it's like I guess because like if I wasn't in the room, went in, but if they're like sleeping or something, I gotta be sneaky. But that's the worst.
That's the only time I can get her is when the dog's not paying attention, or like feed the dog and then sneak up.
I got stuff to do here.
So coming back, hopefully this summer and being 100%, everyone has their hit list. Everybody has the people they want to work. Who's all on the list of Adena?
I don't even know at this point. Like, I feel like I've never had a technical list. I always want to generally, especially now, like I want to work women or people like way more experienced than me because I feel like that's how I've been learning a lot more and growing where, with newer people, it does help too. But I like, just hearing how people more experienced, like maybe call a match or things they might communicate in the ring, just little things. And I'm definitely going to be more like, not particular, but like I want to start before I'm going places, like, who am I wrestling? What am I doing? Just because I don't want to overextend myself like I was doing and going like 1, 2, 3 times a week. And I think just because like being injured, I'm a little more hesitant. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do things, but I might not be everywhere like I was, at least not off the bat, but I don't know, like there's so many good people out there now. I'd just be happy to work like anyone I haven't yet, or, anyone, way more knowledgeable than me, which is a lot of people. So, I don't like to narrow it down too much.
Before everything happened, you were kind of becoming like the Superman or the Superwoman of Smash Master Wrestling, and being from the Scranton Wilkes-Barre area. I group them together. I know that's not what you're supposed to do, but on the other side of the mountain, I just feel like you're just one entity until you drive it, and then you realize that it's not one thing, because the Scranton to Wilkes-Barre drive is ridiculous sometimes, especially when it's really, really late and I'm tired. I'm like, this drive takes way too long between Scranton and Wilkes-Barre.
It does.
Yeah.
Even come back from a show once I see Wilkes-Barre, I'm like, I'm almost home. Then it's just like, not yet.
What was the feeling like pulling up to the Circle Drive-In and seeing your name on the drive-in marquee?
I just didn't know what to feel. I'm like, I was just like, why is that there? I was just very confused because nobody was going to be a thing or whatever. And then we pull up, it just says Smash Master Wrestling and just Adena Steele. Like nothing else, not the date,
I thought it was
not
so
the
cool.
time.
I was like, look how neat that is.
I know. I was like, it was awesome, especially from like growing up here and having gone there, to the drive-ins as a kid and everything. It was really cool. So I went and took my little sting picture with it, but I was very caught off guard, appreciative.
Yeah.
But I was like, how did that end up being what the context of this whole sign was?
Yeah, that was when I pulled up. I'm like, yo, how you were saying, like, I didn't know if that was something, a location you went to in the past. I'm like, it has to be. Like, you're from the area. You had to have been to the drive-in a couple times or just drove past it. And then to just be from this area the whole time, you've been putting the work in for 4 or 5 years, if not longer, in this wrestling business. And then you see your name on the drive-in of your local thing. It's like, that's got to be a dope feeling,
It was pretty cool. Like, even had some people text me and be like, are you wrestling like at the drive-in? You know what I mean? It's like if they had driven by, because Route 6 is a pretty busy road too on the weekends, especially. And I was like, yeah, like, I don't know why I'm on there, but it is me.
That's so cool. I was like, that is dope. I was very, very happy for you. Now, now you really don't have any names in the list coming back this year. You said you're going to be a little more selective on promotions. That's what I was going to say. Is do you have any concern about coming back and with the injury? Like, I know for me, example, like when I hurt myself playing soccer growing up, and I had my first major injury on my ankle. Like, you first couple times you step on the field, you have that like, oh God, I hope I don't get hurt, and you kind of play hesitant. Like, is that something that's going through your mind, or you're just like, nah, F it, I'm just going for it?
I swear, I feel like it opened my eyes more to how real it is when you get injured, because like I always knew, we all know it's a possibility. You see people get hurt all the time, but when it really happens, like what happened to me, and I'm like, oh my God, like we were talking about before, I realized I can't do this, I can't do that. Like, if I didn't have a boyfriend, I don't know how I would have survived at the house, and it couldn't work. So it definitely made it a lot more realistic. And I think at least like where it is, it's my right side. So I do use my left a lot more. So that makes me feel better that I probably won't be getting as much impact like right on that. I think if anything, it's made me, obviously I'll be very mindful of that, but of everything, like even calling a match or any little thing that like, if I get that thought, like maybe I shouldn't do that, I'm going to listen to the little voice in my head.
Yeah.
Sometimes
and I mean, realistically, you were in there with probably the safest people you could ever work with, doing the most mundane bump, I guess you can really say, like a backdrop, essentially what it was, right?
Well, it was supposed to be a head scissors, but the timing just was a little miscommunicated, I think. That's supposed to go off the rope, so I was just standing there, and then I was upside down, and then I was like, oh shit. Like, it was just so fast. Yeah. So I think it was just a freak thing,
Yeah, that's what I was getting to, is just like that small, tiny little miscue, you know what I mean? With people who are super, I mean, and this is no shade at past opponents or anything, but you've worked really, really, really green people for a very, very long time. And then just like that's just how crazy this business is where like one small miscue with the most crafty veteran you could possibly in the ring with leads to this. So it's just like mentally you got to be like, oh, this could like anything can happen here. It kind of makes it real, like how you were saying, makes it real. Definitely. And I'm not saying this to like put fear in you. It's just I'm just trying for people who maybe who listen to this podcast who are not professional wrestling fans or who are fans who don't really get to have these conversations with wrestlers of how intense this can be. And when people say, "Oh, this is all fake," like, no, you're laid up since December on a back bump. You know what I mean? It's just
Right.
anything can happen. Yeah.
It's like, especially head scissors, I've probably done 100, 200, 300 times. Like, I've noticed that anytime like someone gets hurt or something, it's always like something very simple. It's you hardly ever hear it on like the big crazy moves. Like a lot of times it is just these little things, and someone might just step wrong or land wrong, and their knee pops, or like just the simplest stuff could trigger that. So it is hard to it could be any time, any move, any opponent. Like you said, I was working with a very experienced person that he even helped with, when I was training and everything would go down. That's not someone that I was like, oh no, like I'm nervous to get in the ring with. But like you said, you never know. It just one little split
That was
second thing.
such an awkward, like not awkward, but like you feel awful for everybody because obviously you're bummed, you're hurt, and then your opponents, like just being such nice humans, they were just like, I feel like absolutely, you know what I mean? Like they were bummed too. It was just sad. I was really bummed, but and then on
And I
top of it,
felt
Billy's
bad,
like,
like
I'll
how
see you
bad
guys
they
later.
felt.
I'm going to get my knee reconstructed tomorrow. So like you guys are in the same time frame. It was a
Yeah,
lot that day. Yeah.
it was, and it's one of those things. Like the whole time I just kept saying, you know what? Like, because I did land so weird. I'm like, at least I didn't like break my neck or something, because I was like pretty much upside down. So as much as I was like, this sucks the whole time, I was like, but it could always be worse, you know?
Absolutely. And
Like,
it doesn't
this
really
is
take a
something.
lot to break a collarbone.
Guess
That's if
not.
they say usually if you're gonna break something, that's almost like 80% chance with the first bone you're gonna break because it doesn't take a lot to break a collarbone.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Found that out
So
the hard way.
yeah, you're out of the way now. And that's all
I got
reconstructed.
another one.
Yeah. So being laid up and not being able to do stuff, you said you're into books and movies. What are some things what are some recommendations for people out there so we can watch or check out?
Well, the one book, I read a bunch of books. The one that I liked the most, it was called The Silent Patient. Forget who it was by. The book's in my room, but I'm sure if you look up The Silent Patient, it would come up or whatever. One of my coworkers actually got it for me for like Secret Santa for Christmas, ironically. And then I was like, great, I have plenty of time to read this now. And that one was really good. It was one of those that kind of like the whole time I never figured out, like at the end you find out everything that's going on and how it all connected. And I was just like, what? So it's nice because some of these things like that can be very predictable. Then I'm trying to think what shows. I watched a lot of more so like documentaries and things like that. Because like it's hard for me to get into a lot of shows. So I did watch
I watch documentaries and go, how did they do this? Like, no one's seen this coming.
Yeah, like especially like some of them really are so far-fetched, and I'll be like, how did I never even hear about this? Like when it happened, there was a lot of them like that. I'm like, where have I been? Did you watch the one, the hitchhiker with a hatchet or something like that?
Yeah,
it's called.
Yeah.
That one was like, I was like,
did you ever see the one? Real quick, trigger warning if certain topics things upset you. Did you see the one where the guy infiltrated this family, kidnapped the daughter like twice, and had her believing that like if she didn't do what he said, aliens were gonna like end the world and kill her family?
I don't think so, but I'd definitely be into watching that one.
My God, this guy not only stole a kid, like this little girl, twice, but he was also having relations with the mom and the dad. Like he was like the whole like it was insane.
I feel like I've heard of this story, but I don't think I watched that. Like, that does sound familiar.
So it just goes to show how crazy our society can be and how terrible people are. Because the entire time, everyone kept memeing the dad telling a story and crying. Like he's the most traumatic thing, and everyone's making fun of him for it because it happened to him, and they didn't say anything about the dog. Like they were like, "Oh my God, it's terrible!" Like the whole story is absolutely terrible. But it got popular because of the dad, like because he like
the memes and all that.
Yeah,
ironically,
well,
that's what the internet will do.
Oh my God, such a crazy documentary. And like she's adult, she's like an adult now, and she told like I guess they did the documentary and then they redid the documentary. I think it's on like HBO or something. I don't even remember what it's called, but it was the craziest thing I ever heard in my life. I'm like, how did he kidnap her almost 3 times? Yeah. The third time the cops, he caught it. He did it the 2 times, and then both times the parents were like, "Oh, we're not going to press charges because they both had." That? Because he had dirt on both of them because he was messing around both of them as well. Like that was like his game. Especially the dad because he didn't want to admit anything.
Yeah, I get away with it. Oh, God.
Yep. And then the third time the cops are like, "No, we're pressing charges. This is enough. Like,
you just keep kidnapping the same child."
God, and like he was like, "I'm gonna take your kid on vacation," and he's like, "We have other kids," and like, "Nah, just the one." And he's just like, and he had kids of his own, and he was just, it was
That's
wild.
really weird. I have to track that one down because a lot of them are just like, how did this happen, or how did it happen for so long? And nobody. It's like, did you watch the Ted Bundy, like not the documentary, but the real one? Like, I didn't know a lot of the facts there. Like the first time he killed that person, he got pulled over with the body in this car, and he just said he was going to the dump or whatever. And then when the one time the cops came, there was a body in his bed. I'm like, so many times, or him even, that kid that he drugged and ran away in handcuffs, and they were just like, "Oh, it's his boyfriend, let him go back." And there was like a blatantly like messed up on whatever drinking drugs little kid, and I'm like, I didn't know there were this many times like he should have been arrested, and the cops were just like, "Nah."
And then the whole time his neighbor's like, "Can we please look into this? Because like this is not normal." And the whole time she's freaking out. But
right, that's even worse. Like it was attention repeatedly being brought to it. It wasn't just like, oh, it flew under the radar. Like he was not smart.
That's why I like Dark Side of the Ring, because you listen to these wrestling stories and you mean Dahmer. Sorry, we said Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh, that's what I meant.
Yeah. It's funny because you we're like, how did this never get sniffed out, or how did no one ever put a stop on this? And we're like, we're in the wrestling business, and you're like, that guy sucks, but no one's saying anything.
Right, especially after like everyone getting canceled, like in 2020 and still and everything. It's
I feel like we went to a point in 2020 where we were like, yeah, let's get rid of these people, and then it got to a point where it was like, all right, we're back to not saying things that we probably should be saying again.
Right. Yeah, it was very bizarre. So all of a sudden you see like there was lists online of every canceled wrestler because there were so many people that got canceled, and
now we're finding out some of the ones that got canceled probably shouldn't have. Like,
oh yeah, I feel like people were very quick to just, obviously plenty of justified situations, but
absolutely
people might have piggybacked off that and maybe been resentful at someone and blown it up to be something it wasn't, because that always happens too. So kind of just sucks for the people who really mean what they're saying.
Yeah, and that's the problem is when people use a movement to just get revenge on somebody, and then it diminishes everything else. And that's essentially what happened. That's why I was saying too, like everyone's like, let's get rid of this, and then you had eventual people trying to get rid of people for their own justifications. And then once it finds out that those people aren't really that bad, then it's like, well, none of this is real now. So then we just revert back to nonsense again. It's and then the cancel people just come back because they're allowed to. Like people are like, well, we'll book them.
Yeah, literally.
Makes money.
People probably forgot by now.
Yeah. What if the money that comes in? Because it's like
especially with like bigger names and stuff that got canceled that you'll see at certain places, and a lot of it maybe wasn't necessarily true, but you never know at that point.
Yeah,
absolutely. It reflects, I think, more on the promoters when you see like, depending on the situation, like if you're bringing someone in, like, was like, especially like a sexually aggressive person or whatever, like maybe you shouldn't bring them to your shows, especially if there's females on your shows, or there's
ones
kids
that possibly talk to kids. Yeah, that's my favorite.
Right. It's like, well, if that's even a possibility, why even be associated? I'll never understand.
Yeah, crazy to me. But we're sitting there like, these documentaries are crazy. How do people not catch it? And we're like, oh.
Honestly, like it all circled back. Like, well, what's the lie? Everyone like turns a blind eye.
And we had a mutual friend in the Dahmer TV show. Keita Murray made an appearance. Right. Yeah, Keita's in the club dancing.
Yeah, that's what was like looking out for every episode. He's like, is Keita in this one? Is Keita in this one? Because they knew it was in like a club type of scene.
I was watching and I was like, that, like, it was only quick too. I was like, that looked like Keita. And then I was like looking back, and then literally 5 minutes after, everyone's posting like, Keita's in this episode. I was like, oh my God. I pointed him out without even knowing. But yeah, so much fun. Yeah, Adena, thank you so much. If anyone has any questions, please, we have a couple minutes here. I don't want to keep Adena too long. She has a very long day. Yeah, we were supposed to start this at 3, but both of us kind of forgot. But
Fair
if
enough.
anyone has any questions for Adena, please put them in the chat. Also, if you are listening to this either on any platform, head over to YouTube, help that subscriber. We just hit 550 today. Also, if you're listening on the audio side, make sure you leave a review and tell me what platform you're listening to, because I think right now we're 1 or 2 plays away from hitting 500 total plays since October on the podcast, which is super
That's
exciting.
awesome.
So thank you guys all for that amazing support. And then once again, check out Adena's links for any ways to support her. A couple months off work, anything is very helpful for her to get back on her feet and get back in the swing of things. And recovery's been great, which is awesome. So we're very, really excited to see Adena Steele back in action. But there you go, Adena versus Willow.
That would be fun. I've never wrestled her before. Obviously, she's very experienced and talented, so I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think Willow's going to be one of those people who I think for us comes off the independent scene is going to do big things. It's like I think Willow did it, and then you have Action Andretti making the big jump, and then it looks like Deppen is going to make another run back at ROH, hopefully, because they released the whole tapings of people who are on ROH. Dude, ROH is going to be, I think, the show to watch. I'm being honest. I looked at some of those things, and I was just
that'll be fun.
I'm leaning heavily at the ROH rebrand, which I'm excited for. But yeah, and any other questions besides Adena versus Willow, which I think would be an amazing match? Have you ever heard of NYWC?
Heard of NYCW? Is that what they mean?
No, that's a different one. NYWC is the one where Willow came from, as well as Cardona, and a bunch of people came from that school. Johnny Hungy and Alex Reynolds, they all came from there.
Oh, it's a school. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I haven't, but now I have.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Up in upstate New York, the New York area, I believe. Yeah. I would actually, you know what's a match I'd like to see, because I think she's been really, really grinding, and you guys worked a few times before, and just watching her in her progression now, I think she's really hit a new level, and I think a lot of it is because she's been training a lot with Masha. Cosmic. Have you seen Cosmic stuff lately?
But yeah, I do see a bit when she posts. I'm not on social media as much anymore, but I do see her stuff pop up a lot.
She's been grinding, really man. I'm really proud of her. Yeah.
Yeah. No, she's a good girl.
Oh, Long Island, up in Long Island.
Oh.
All right. Well, that'll do it. We gave everyone an opportunity for some questions. Adena, where can people find you on social media?
Instagram, just at Adena Steele, ADENA STEELE. I forgot it says it right there. Same on Facebook, Twitter. It's just _ Adena Steele. Pretty simple. If I disappear, it's because I have 1% battery. But it says 5 minutes.
We'll get it.
So I might not.
Yeah.
Just don't think they disappeared.
Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you, Adena. We're really, really happy that the recovery is doing great. We're excited to see you back in the business. Once again, please, if you can, go grab a T-shirt and take a picture of it and say, "Go, Adena." Help her through this process. And we'll see you guys on what's today? Today's Tuesday. Thursday, we'll see you back here at the ABJ Podcast for the next month of people. First episode is gonna be Boom Harden, which I'm super excited to hang out and talk to him. Killing it right now in the tag team division with Deshaun Pratt. So we'll be excited for that one. And we'll see you guys next time on the ABJ Podcast. Here's some Billy Trey, and we'll see you next time.